I did hear the horrible story about the boy who used to live there.
I hear it's haunted.
Welcome into a long-awaited new edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. Haven't talked about Ahmed in a while. He's dying over there, dying to talk about Goosebumps, Ahmed. I know you've been super excited to get into it. This is the new Goosebumps series on Disney Plus. Dropped a few weeks ago. Ahmed, I know you weren't super excited for the first episode, but the second
I've been dying
got
to
a
talk
little
about
better.
how underwhelming it was. But I gave it a chance because I respect you, Jeff, even though you and I have our moments where we disagree on certain movies and TV shows. But
Yes.
the first episode it seemed like a Power Rangers take on American Horror Story. And you told me to watch the second episode, and I did notice it start to pick up a little bit. But if you're going to try to grab someone's attention with all the shows that are coming out, especially during spooky season, you got to come out of the gate swinging. You can't just like spoon feed stuff, especially if you're going to go hard on a thing like Goosebumps. You have a lot of pressure in and of itself.
I do think that it did take a while to get going. I will tell you that. Like, it took me a while to get used to the characters in the show. I thought all of them were super annoying, like 20 minutes into this thing, but then it got better. Then you get used to them. The thing that I like the most about this
20,
is
20 minutes into it. I got annoyed 5 minutes into it. You have a lot more grace than I do.
when they were at that pep rally and like Isaiah is being like the biggest douche in the world, and then his girlfriend is being like horrible to Margot. I was like, okay, all these kids are unlikable. But they got better. They flesh out their characters more, especially I've watched all 6 that have been released so far. They do a good job of tying in the books, and I really do like that. Like, every episode is themed after one of the books. The first one is Say Cheese and Die, which is a classic, and you remember the cover of that one where it's like a family having a barbecue and they're all skeletons on the cover. But I really think that the Harold Biddle storyline as a through line throughout this series was something that the original 90s Goosebumps lacked, because it was more of an anthology as opposed to an actual show.
Right. And whenever you watch the first episode and then you start to watch the second episode, it really shows you how it's all intertwined. So that did get my attention. I was interested to learn more about Isabella's storyline, but I'm of the joking opinion, especially because maybe I'm just getting older and I'm getting grumpier, where I'm just like, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
So, but no, you definitely inspired me. But I'm hoping that I will give it a chance, but then I'll just be hella underwhelmed.
It gets so much better. Like, you just got to keep going on this one.
But at the same time, considering what we've talked about, how it started and how it picks up, what would you say that, like, who is the general audience meant to be? Is it supposed to be a kids show, or is it supposed to be for adults, or is it supposed to be for people like our age, in our late 20s, early 30s?
I think this is a show for teens, and it's pretty Gen Z geared. Like, you have a lot of modern music in here, like a lot of needle drops of popular music today. And like, I think they do a good job of portraying what kids go through these days. There's also some shots at millennials in here, which
Yeah,
hurt my feelings.
Outcast.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck you guys. What the hell?
Yes, we're old now. We are the old ones. I listened to Blink 182 all weekend, so here we are. But
No, you didn't. No,
yes, I
you
did.
didn't.
It's my favorite band of all time.
Oh man.
But yes. Anyway, like, I think Justin Long is a great addition to this cast. Like, Justin Long is a guy who's been in so many different horror franchises, from Jeepers Creepers to Barbarian. I think he's the perfect guy to really anchor this show and kind of be like the R.L. Stein of this universe in a way. And just the rest of the supporting cast, the adults, I thought are pretty good. Rachel Harris, in particular, I thought she was fantastic as one of the moms here. But yeah, it's not perfect. There are some problems, but overall, I think this is a very solid start for this show.
That's fair. I mean, the fact that it is for teens, you know, as opposed to modern cynics like myself, um, you know, I was just worried that it insisted on like it was one of those kind of shows that was trying to be something it shouldn't be. But when you say it's meant for teens, that does explain a lot because this is going to be for, young kids that, with all due respect, maybe didn't grow up watching, you know, um, we grew up with Saw. We grew up with Scream. We grew up with I Know What You Did Last Summer. So we've started to see the culmination of psychological thrillers and slasher films that have just kind of become so. Um, I was going to say pantomimic. I lost the word. I was going to say something. It was going to make me sound intelligent. Um, the pinnacle of horror films. There, I
Yes.
picked it up. Took me a second, but I got it.
There's a lot of I Know What You Did Last Summer in this show,
Right.
especially when you get into it, because Harold Biddle dies. You find out later how exactly that accident happened, but the consequences of the past coming back to haunt the parents and these kids. I
Yeah.
thought that they really did pull from some pretty classic horror sources when it came to
And
this.
and these are good tropes to have when you're trying to introduce young folks to a new genre, a new type of art form. Um, you know, so I don't fault teens for that. Like discover how you discover. Um, I remember whenever, and I promise I have a point to it. Whenever Hunger Games came out, and my brother-in-law was trying to tell me about battle royale, and so you kind of see the inspirations for that. So to see that this is like, if a teenager will like this, then they'll probably like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Um, Sorry, my cat came over
Oh,
here and
she's been up
distracted
and
me.
down. I just haven't said anything.
um, it is kind of cool to see it, and I will give it a chance, but it's going to be at the lower part of my list in terms of serious shows to take seriously, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's more adult than you would expect, especially when you go back and watch the 90s Goosebumps. Doesn't really age that well, let me tell you that. I think we tried watching The Haunted Mask from the 90s Goosebumps a few years ago, and it was rough. A lot rougher than I remember. So they really do a good job of uh, bringing the books to life. I think the horror uh, is about as scary as you can get for a Disney Plus show. It is what you
Mm.
said, Ahmed. It is like American Horror Story light. There are some weird CGI moments, especially in the Haunted Mask episode, where uh, the girl who puts it on turns into a goblin and is like running around and chasing her brother and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
But
I hadn't gotten that part, and she loves her little
spoiler
brother.
alert.
That's so sad. Oh.
But yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff in here. Uh, Anything that really stands out to you?
Some of the things that really stood out to me was kind of like what you said, the CGI. I think that considering we live in this age where we have new technology, new ways to play around with pictures, new ways to reimagine stuff, I really liked that scene in the first episode where Isaiah is feeling as though he's being chased by real demons. And, you know, just kind of seeing that, but you don't really see like the actual part of him playing. I feel like that was more haunting in and of itself. And I think if I was, you know, 16-year-old me, who loved reading R.L. Stein, reading Stephen King books, this would have been like, I would have, been enamored by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is like a gateway into horror for, like, I would say like 13, 14, 15-year-old kids. Like, this would
Right.
be what Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps or something like that was for us in the 90s. So,
Right.
and I think that, that it's one of my favorite genres. It's my wife's favorite genre. I do think that horror is just going to be something that lasts forever because it's lasted for hundreds of years now. People like to get scared, especially in October. Like, I do see a future for this show to continue, and I think the numbers have been great so far. And there's a lot of source material to pull from. So I don't really have many gripes right now, but besides the CGI, I guess we could kind of get into our rankings here because I'm kind of rambling into it. But I would give this show like a low all-star, maybe in the initial batch of 6 episodes that I've watched. I think it's pretty damn good.
Based on my limited viewership of it, I think even if I did like it towards the end, I still think I would have to give it a starter simply because it needs to know what it wants to be. If you're, again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, if you're gonna try to, you know, get someone hooked, you gotta, come out swinging. Not saying that they didn't try to in the first episode. It's just it just seems so esoteric. So many things just kind of were like, okay, how does this tie in with this? And I understand it's the first episode, but it was like it was like the very end of it where it says Biddle's back and the sins of our fathers. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, we haven't seen who the hell is this lady, first of all? Who is Nora? What are you doing here?
Well, you
You
do
know,
find out
you
later
do
on.
find out, but I'm I don't know, man. I'm just kind of spoiled. I've been spoiled by good writing, so that's that's my thing.
Yeah. It's
So yeah, it's a
it,
starter.
it is it's just, yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's kind of a slow burn to get going. No pun intended, Harold Biddle, slow burn. Uh, but
That's funny. That's really
yeah,
funny.
let's get real dark. It is spooky season after all. Anything else you
Oh
want to
shit! There's
add?
a spider behind me.
There is a
What?
spider. Yeah, we can make a
What were
whole
you gonna say? I'm
Goosebumps
sorry.
episode about things in that room right there. So, what was I gonna say? I don't know, but you tell me. You got anything else you want to mention about this show before we get out of here?
I don't. I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited for more spooky stuff as we come to a close. Um, and I'm just happy that I got to chat with you again about movies and TV shows. This is one of my favorite things to do.
Same here, buddy. Same here. Well, this has been another edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. We are sponsored by Rival Fantasy Sports. You can go to joinrival.com/boxofficeqbs to try Rival for free. Get $25 in free play, $10 voucher on your first deposit, and some other fun stuff. But I am Jeff. That's my friend Ahmed. This has been Box Office Quarterbacks Spooky Season Edition. We will talk to you guys very, very soon.